Have you ever experienced a moment so profound that it completely changed your outlook on life? Imagine a simple meal, a gathering of friends, and an act of humility that echoed through the ages. This is Maundy Thursday, the day that would forever change the course of human history. Today, we will dive into this significant day and discover the deep lessons of love, service, and faith that Jesus left for us. Stay with us, because the story of Maundy Thursday is not just a tale from the past, it's a living message that could inspire change in your life today. It was the night before Jesus would be betrayed, and he gathered his disciples for what would be their final meal together. Known as the Last Supper, this was not just any meal. It was a time of communion, of intimate conversation, and of deep, sacred love. Luke 22:14-16. When the hour came, Jesus and his apostles reclined at the table, and he said to them, "I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it again until it finds fulfillment in the kingdom of God." Well, Jesus knew what lay ahead of him, yet his heart was filled with love for his disciples. Imagine that, a love so great that even in the face of betrayal and death, his main concern was for his friends. He desired to share a message of hope, even when he knew his time was near. How often do we put aside our own fears and uncertainties to love others? Jesus teaches us here that love, even in the hardest of moments, is the greatest gift we can give. In a stunning display of humility, Jesus did something that left the disciples astounded. He knelt down, took a basin of water, and began to wash their feet, an act usually reserved for the lowest servant. This was the Lord, the Messiah, humbling himself before those who followed him. John 13:4-5. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, was so overwhelmed by this act that he resisted, saying, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." John 13:8-9. "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." This act of washing the disciples' feet is one of the most powerful examples of servant leadership in history. True greatness comes not from power or prestige, but from our willingness to serve others with a humble heart. In our world today, we need this humility more than ever, to serve without expectation, to love without boundaries. As they ate, Jesus became sorrowful. He knew that one of the very men sitting with him at that table, sharing bread and wine, would betray him. Matthew 26:21-22 NIV. "And while they were eating, he said, 'Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me.' They were very sad and began to say to him one after the other, 'Surely you don't mean me, Lord.'" Imagine sitting in a room with friends, people you trust, and knowing that one of them would betray you. Yet Jesus did not show hatred or anger. Instead, he still offered love and even shared his final meal with the one who would turn against him. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things we can offer, especially to those who hurt us the most. Jesus shows us that forgiveness is not about the worthiness of the person, but about the freedom it gives to our own souls. Who in your life needs your forgiveness today? In one of the most profound moments of that night, Jesus instituted what we now know as the Eucharist, or communion. He took bread, blessed it, and broke it, saying, "This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Then he took the cup of wine and said, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you." Luke 22:19, 20 NIV. And he took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you." This was not just a symbolic act, it was a promise, a covenant. Jesus was giving of himself entirely, body and blood, for the salvation of all. Every time we take communion, we are reminded of Jesus' ultimate sacrifice and his call to us to live lives of gratitude and remembrance. Let us take every opportunity to be thankful for the blessings we receive and to share those blessings with others. After the meal, Jesus and his disciples went to the Garden of Gethsemane. There, Jesus prayed, knowing the suffering that was about to come. He prayed with such intensity that his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. Luke 22:42, 44 NIV. "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. Jesus shows us here the depth of his humanity. He felt fear, he felt pain, but above all, he chose to submit to God's will. "Not my will, but yours be done." There are times in our lives when we face immense challenges, when the path ahead seems filled with pain and uncertainty. In those moments, Jesus' prayer reminds us to trust in God's plan, even when we cannot understand it. What challenges are you facing today, and how can you find the courage to say, "Not my will, but yours be done"? Maundy Thursday is not just a story of an ancient meal. It is a story of love, humility, forgiveness, and sacrifice. Jesus left us with profound lessons to serve others, to forgive those who hurt us, and to trust God even in our darkest hour. If this message touched your heart today, remember that each of us has the power to make a difference, to serve others, and to spread love just as Jesus did on Maundy Thursday. Share this message with someone who needs a reminder of hope and love today. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more stories that inspire, uplift, and bring us closer to understanding the love that changes everything. Leave a comment below on how you plan to embody the spirit of Maundy Thursday in your life this week.